Here we go. Okay, let's see what happens. I can only go downhill from this part. Okay, Larry asked me to see what I had on stuff in and around Lexington. So here's stuff in and around Lexington.
All right, good.
A friend owns this. I would love to own it, but he's a meanie and he keeps it under lock and key. I don't blame him. But he picked this poster up many years ago. I don't know whether it's an original or it's a reprint, but I think it's beautiful. And I would love to have it. But anyway, apparently Lexington, Kentucky was a place to go on the Queen and Crescent. I stuck this picture in for you modelers. This was a typical boxcar seen around Lexington in central Kentucky. It's for grain. By the way, notice it's CB&Q. And the grain would be shoveled in here or blown in, and you'd keep raising the wood on up as you brought the grain in, and then as you unloaded it, you brought the wood down. This is the days before the covered hopper, when everything was shipped in boxcars, including automobiles. This is over in Lexington, out at the, was it the Pepper Distillery? It's got to be a posed picture. Number one, why does the guy walk down? It's not him run the boxes down the catwalk. This poor guy here is going to be closed in as they stack the boxes up. He's never going to get out. What we got here is, of course, the guy checking the right boxes to get in, and here's the federal agent standing here. And if you had a close-up, this box here has the federal revenue stamp on it. So this is 1930 Lexington, when the Pepper Distillery, I think, was down there, was back starting to put spirits back out. Oh, here's a picture of the box. Forgot I had it. And there is the revenue stamp on the box. This, we believe, was taken for the Kentucky Traction and Terminal, a Georgetown line, looking down on the Queen and Crescent. That's what we suspect. Anybody knows different, you can let us know. But that's where we believe this was taken. We are, of course, at the Southern Depot, CNONTP, Queen and Crescent, whatever you want to call it. They had a major rail yard there. I never saw this, but I've seen pictures. This was a big garden center. And they had all kinds of their signals here because this was a training school. And then during World War II, as many things got, I don't know what to call these people, who came along and donated all this historical material for the scrap drive. Cannons, historical monuments, all this sort of stuff got destroyed in the name of patriotism, basically because nobody wanted to maintain them, and we'll just get rid of them this way. We got our standpipe back here, yard here, and your freight house over here. That's Angliana Avenue back there. A close-up thereof. This was to be a restaurant, and then that didn't work, and they were going to turn it into a homeless shelter, and it mysteriously caught on fire. Oh, by the way, Southern California, they are getting ready to pass a law. It's on the ballot in November that if your hotel has any vacant rooms in it, it must allow homeless people to come in and stay in those rooms. You notice I didn't say anything about anybody paying. I simply said they're passing a bill, or they got it on the ballot, that if a hotel or motel has an empty room after, I forget what time at night, and a homeless person comes up, they must be given the room. Nobody said anything about pay. The other thing on the ballot is that all fast food employees are to make $18 an hour plus benefits. Do you know what that means? A McDonald's hamburger is going to cost in California. And of course, they're all going to have electric cars out there by 2035. But whoa, wait a minute. You're not allowed to charge your electric car now because we're out of electricity. I'm sorry, editorializing. This once again is that garden area leading up to the depot. It must have been really something to see at the time. The Royal Palm rolling through the depot. Outside brace boxcar off on the right. Freight train running past the depot. I forget the name of the bar that was there. I remember going in there and having some food, and then they built the underpass out there and basically cut this off from the roadway. So it was there, but it wasn't there. Wasn't convenient to get to. I think it's all student housing over there now. Another Southern, long hood forward, of course, long hood forward, running past the depot with a couple, a piggyback trailer back there. Running light in the yard. Step back in time. Switcher. Working the yard area, Southern. This was out on Broadway. Can't think of the cross street out there. It was the Southern Freight Depot. I guess about 5 years ago, they took the track out over that neck of the woods and they punched a new road through all the way over there from, I'll call it Leestown, from the cemetery over. Okay, you're going to be seeing some wreck pictures. I know nothing about these. This was in a collection of photos I picked up. All I can tell you is they're Southern locomotives. They're on the ground. I think it's more than one wreck, maybe 3 wrecks. I don't know. There was nothing on the photographs to identify time, place, or anything. But from my looking at them, they looked like they were in the canyon over there, out by Old Frankfort Pike area. So here we are. And if any of you people out there say, "Oh, I was there," type something in so we know what we're looking at. Another there view up. And another piece of smashed up equipment. Like I say, I can't guarantee that these are all from the same wreck and from the same spot, but they all look like it took place north of the depot, up near Old Frankfort Pike is what I took it for being. Looks like the locomotive ran into the boxcar, or the boxcar ran into the locomotive. One way or the other, we got a problem. And I assume it's underneath the Old Frankfort Pike bridge. At least that's the only place I can figure it was. Piled up in a row. Notice the cushion coupler there. Extended. I think that's a cushion coupler, but it's in, waiting for somebody to walk up and stand next to it and go shooting out and puncture them. Another car laying on its side. Yeah. I don't see anybody throwing in the comments saying, "I know where that was." Looks like the house up there on the hillside got taken out. I don't know if this is the same wreck or a different one, since it's a colored photo.
Jeez.
And I assume it derailed going in the switch. I don't know. But it looks like we got one locomotive on its side and another one on the ground and one ready to go on the ground. And this to me looks like the Lexington yard. And there's some of Lexington finest, I believe, carrying somebody back. I guess at one time you had motorcycle cops over there with a helmet. Not OSHA approved clothing they're wearing, but that was back in the days when we were stronger or dumber or whatever it was and need all that protective gear to go out there and do stuff. And I bet you they're taking him over and loading him into a funeral car. This is pre city ambulance days, I'm guessing. And there's the guy with the handheld lantern. Okay, end of that. This was some sort of shipment by somebody to somebody from Lexington or to Lexington. Curry Brother in Sydney, Lexington, Kentucky, Grape Shell Road, Jersey, Wildfire. I have no idea what it's about, but there it is. I expect to see this running on one of your trains. I did an article on the Lexington Depot for the Chesapeake, Ohio Historical Society. And I'm looking all around on newspaper.com for some pictures. And this Japanese thing shows up. I assume it's Japanese, it might be Chinese. And there was a drawing of the depot. And there was the second floor plan. No first floor plan, just the second floor plan. And I just thought it was neat that you had to go all the way to see a Japanese paper to learn something about the Lexington Depot, which really wasn't covered in the Lexington newspapers. But there is a picture of your beautiful depot that you have no longer. And Photoshop is nothing new. Look at that, they stuck a plane in. And if you look at enough of these pictures from this era, you're going to see the same open air car with the same people sitting in various pictures and that cars, boats and stuff that are not to scale with the rest of the picture, that somebody in Germany decided needed to be in the picture to do something to the picture. I don't know. But this was an entryway back. The baggage and post office was here. Ladies' waiting room was here. Colored waiting room over here. General waiting room here. And I've always wondered whatever happened to that beautiful stained glass window that you had. Another view thereof. Like I said, the general, colored, ladies, baggage, RPO box, and Railway Express was over here. This was just a general walkway back. You had the Louisville and Nashville, the Lexington and Eastern, and the Chesapeake and Ohio. coming here. I think for a short time, the Louisville Southern came in. And then, of course, the Louisville Southern began to use the Queen and Crescent station. Another view of the depot. This, of course, is an advertising card for this outfit over here. Interior of the depot, the floors down here, the doors here, and this is that big stained glass window looking out at. This is the only picture I've ever found of it, a black and white. Surely goodness, somebody on a sunny day stood on the inside and took a colored picture of this so you could see what it looked like. But I've yet to find one. (1917) World War I. These are draftees arriving at the depot in Lexington to go to the University of Kentucky for officer candidate school. Near the end of its life, the L&N pulled out in the early 50s. The C&O was the only one running trains through. They were running two trains, the George and the FFV. And then the FFV went away and they were only running the George through the station. Early on, C&O was running like, I think 6 passenger trains a day in each direction to the station. They actually had a milk run that came from Ashland to Lexington and back. A view from the back. The original station was down at the back of the Phoenix. Well, the original station, of course, was down here at Broadway, Vine and Broadway, and then they moved it up to the back of the hotel. My mind just shut down on me. What was the big hotel, you know, that was there? And then they moved it up here. C&O and L&N and the Lexington Eastern using it. Looking out Vine Street. Had a nice track work through there. And the city got rid of the train so we could speed up traffic and save downtown, and basically destroyed downtown. I know, editorial comments you don't need. There is the George coming in. That's the George Washington, you understand, the finest passenger train in the world. This is the famous wreck with the streetcar. If you're not familiar with the story, I will tell it to you. The streetcar left the Loudon Street car barn, heading out to the Queen and Crescent depot. The operator noticed his brake wasn't working. He called back to the dispatcher. The dispatcher said, well, go on out, pick up the passengers, come back, drop them off downtown, come back and get a new streetcar. So he went out, picked up his load, got to the top of the hill. The FFV was sitting down there at the depot. This is the one in back of the hotel. And as he hit the top of the hill and he put his brakes on, and he had no brakes. He rolled down the hill, hit the side of the Railway Express, post office car, baggage car, no, Railway Express baggage car, knocking it over, injuring the people in there, killed some people here, and everybody in town came out and stood around. Back in those days, it was big news. This is a instant picture that was taken, put on a postcard, and then was sold. They brought in some C&O switcher from the Netherlands, L&N switchers from the L&N yard, pulled out the cars that they could, and then it took them about 8 hours to clean this mess up. This is down at Rose when they closed the depot, the quote, the Union Depot. They moved down to Rose and Vine, which is now the retirement apartment complex. These are the umbrella sheds from down at the old depot. They just moved them up here. It was a freight depot, passenger depot. And then when they sold this for the tar, they moved out on Delaware and took the old freight station out here, did some additions to it, made it a passenger. There is way back in one of the old Bluegrass newsletters, when it was that little magazine format, there's an HO layout of the freight, I don't want to call it depot, superintendent's office out here, the yard office. You go out and, oh, look, they brought the umbrellas here with them. They're gone now. The concrete's still here. This is still here, but it's, I think, the Corinthian Baptist Church. You can pull up and park if you haven't done it. Walk back here. R.J. Corman still has a track through here. And then you can turn around, look back, and see the coaling tar, which is now a sand tar. Oh, there it is. And this is the old yard office. And there is a very nice drawing in a 1960 or so Bluegrass Railroader. Was that whatever that name of that magazine you guys put out? HO scale of this. Another view back in the Netherland yard, looking for town. There's the coaling tar, which is still there now, used for sand. Quite a yard the C&O had here. As you know, the C&O track ended here and then continued on using L&N track into Louisville. The C&O owned the beltway that came around, and the track that Carmen uses to get up the Norfolk Southern line was former C&O track. The C&O owned the track up to the other side of the depot. So the C&O track ran to the other side of the depot and then swung all the way around town up for a connection with the with the Southern Railway. C&O and TP, let's be correct. So anyway, there's our yard there. Another view back at the depot. It's winter time. Aha, you didn't know it was winter time. You thought that was cotton on the ground. I'm sorry. Interior view of the depot. Okay, now I got some yard shots. I know nothing about these. All I can tell you is they're shots of Netherland Yard. So if anybody out there really knows what we're looking at, say, oh, I know what we're looking at, besides me saying it's Netherland Yard. The approach into the yard, Winchester Avenue over here, coaling tar there, Vine Street's in back of us, the Lexington Herald Leader, that's the track back to Lexington Herald Leader. Another view up into the yard. You can see this is after the steam locomotives are gone, because there's no longer any track underneath the coaling tar. It's all diesel operation up there. Another view with caboose. Whole line of C&O boxcars. This, I believe, is the Beltway Railroad taking off and coming around. I assume this is down in the warehouse district. Okay. Okay. Up at the L&N yard, GM tire. We're looking in. Frankfurt would be the rear of me. The sand tire there with an L&N covered hopper. Rupp Arena has been built and half the yard has been lost. In back of the locomotives, the two coaling tires. I got pictures somewhere of those things being taken down, and by golly, I can't find them. Someday they may turn up, or maybe they disappeared into the great cloud in the sky and the cloud isn't giving them back to me. But anyway, another view into the yard. It's amazing. The L&N had really no use for it. Corman now has it and has its stock full, and they could use the old yard back, which is now gone. 152 on one of its excursions. Stuck this in. This is an L&N making a transfer run up to Netherland Yards. There's the Netherland yard office. L&N diesel, L&N box cars, actually a Penn Central. Some C&O locomotives sitting up there in the Netherland yard. Circle 4 is being built. And I'm assuming that's either the George or the fast flying Virginian coming through.